Welcome to the Igniting the CEO Within podcast, where we interview successful high-level professionals to discover lessons they've learned throughout their career that can help ignite that CEO within you. I'm Mark McFatridge, and I'll be your host for the next 15 minutes or so. Our show is sponsored by Quaid, a nationwide community of CEOs and entrepreneurs. Quaid has developed Launchpad, which offers an opportunity for experienced executive coaches and fractional executives to become licensed circle directors. After completing the Launchpad program, you'll lead your own peer advisory circles, helping other CEOs and entrepreneurs excel in their professional and personal lives while providing a community of accountability, challenge, and support. If you'd like to learn more, go to quaidcircle.com. Really excited about our show today. I get to hang out with Brian Bohley. He's the founder and CEO of Goodbookin out of Chicago, Illinois. Brian, welcome to the show.
Hey, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Man, in your line of work, you get to see all kinds of folks, entrepreneurs, business owners, CEOs, that type of stuff. As you take a step back and look at the folks that you've worked with over the years, can you identify some traits that separate who are some of the great leaders and maybe who some folks who could use some help?
Yeah, sure. Well, I work with a lot of micro businesses and startups. So a lot of them are 1 to 5 employees, and then they grow from there, or sometimes they stay really small. And the ones that grow often are just individuals that are very, uh, motivated, driven, and they're willing to force growth no matter what the method is, just by,
Sure.
just putting themselves out there, putting their company out there. Uh, I work with a lot of, I actually do some coaching for my
Oh,
own clients,
yeah.
maybe even therapy sometimes.
Of course.
And what I have found is that there's the difference is you either accept sales or you don't.
Mhm.
And that was my problem when I first started in 2012 was I didn't want to be a salesperson. And you don't have a business without customers.
Yep.
So you have to embrace sales in some way or another. And how I did over time was I treated it as customer service. So I
Yeah.
pretty much provide customer service to potential clients. And
Yeah.
what I found is that the people that have a hard time with sales, they're just, they don't know how to talk to people. They don't know how to get people interested without sounding like they're pressuring them uh, into buying their service. So that's, I mean, the sales thing is the biggest part.
Yeah. Well, and it's ironic, right? That because realistically, everybody's doing sales no matter what, whether you're talking to your spouse about where you want for dinner, right? Or where you want to go for dinner, or, what you're going to do on the weekend or whatever, or you're selling yourself in a job interview or whatever. Everybody's in sales at some level. And it's really interesting because I grew up in that same realm of thought, right? My biggest career was in banking, and biggest part of my career was in banking, and leading commercial lenders, right? They never wanted to be salespeople, and it's like this is what we do, right? And it's really not. It's if you can break it down and start to think about this as a relationship, and you have a service that you especially have a service that everybody needs, every business owner needs. So why not you, right? And how to develop a relationship so that people want to work with you.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's I came in with an operations and customer service background and a little bit of corporate, and working with small business owners, I had to kind of put myself in their shoes and understand that their time was really valuable, and that if they weren't interested, I needed to know right away so I wasn't wasting their time. And so that's always been the key for me is just being able to relate to people and put myself in their shoes.
When you start working with these micro businesses and the ones that you've seen that wanted to grow, right? Some people are like, this is fine. I want to be a lifestyle business, and this provides me the lifestyle that I need. And that's wonderful. But the people that you see that have decided to grow and have been successful in that, what are some of the key things that they need to do in the operation side of their company to set them up for success in that growth period?
Well, especially if they're a solopreneur, they really need to track their time and see where their time's going.
Hmm.
Um, I was spending so much time on operations and customer service. I wasn't really growing my business in the very beginning. And you just don't know where your time's going until you start tracking it. Even if it's just for a month, track your time, and then you can extrapolate the rest of it if if it was a typical month. But yeah, you can't scale yourself, so you got to figure out a way to uh, strategize your time uh, appropriately in order to get that ROI. And yeah, I recommend people track their time, see where they're spending it, and if it's not something that's going to increase their bottom line, then they need to spend less time doing that, more time doing the other.
Yeah, that's good. So when you start looking at those activities that drive revenue and improve the bottom line, so we've already talked about the sales component where you're driving activities to the top line.
Mhm.
What kind of structures set people up for success for scale? And I think you could talk about organizational structure, can play a big role in that. You can talk about, um, how they work with their accounting firms. You can talk about all kinds of different things. But as they start to think about setting themselves up for growth, what are some of those key operational structures that are key to success?
Sure, sure. Yeah, so in the beginning, when it's just one person and you're doing everything, when you first hire somebody, you want to cross-train them so that they could basically step in and fill in for you at any time. That's the easiest way to scale yourself. And unfortunately, it takes money to make money. And I learned this the hard way. When you hire your first employee, that comes directly out of your pay, and you have to be willing to take take that step back and pay
Hmm.
and do a little bit of bootstrapping, which is probably what you did in the very beginning, unless you're taking outside financing. But I like working with uh, solopreneurs that are growing just organically, and so that's then you have that person train and cross train the next person and the next person and the next person. Uh, they don't necessarily have to all be able to do the same things. Eventually, you get to the point where you have five people doing what you used to do, alone,
Yeah.
and then they can, continue to cross train, and that's been where I'm at. Yeah.
That's good. Do you have any thoughts on when you should start to think about adding your first employee?
I mean, it's nice to add one right away. To be honest, it's not great being a solo founder. Either have a a co-founder or at least an advisor or someone that is able to uh, bounce ideas. You can bounce ideas off of that sort of thing. And as far as hiring a person, it's tough. You want to hire somebody really, that's really top notch, good quality. But in the beginning, you're a startup, you can't afford to pay them potentially what their market value is. And yeah, so you can't find quality people a lot of times at part time. You can't really start part time either. So it took a lot of experimenting. I did staffing and temps and interns and work with, I outsourced over to the Philippines. That's actually been great. That's been a way to kind of open the door to outsourcing and kind of delegating some of the other responsibilities that I have or that are a little bit, uh, less customer facing.
Hmm. Yeah. Do you do a lot of work with your clients to talk about how you get them out of the day-to-day role and focusing on where they're the most valuable to the company?
Sure, sure. Yeah, I mean, there's different ways you can work the accounting to make it obvious where the money's, pouring in and where it's not. I like to help my clients divide their company up by either purpose or verticals, products, different, geographies, things like that, so that they know, okay, this area is the most profitable, so I'm going to put more resources into that. I'm going to hire a person and in that area, I'm going to, concentrate on this specific industry, uh, that I feel like I can add more value to. And when you when you serve a specific industry, a niche, you have a niche, you can also charge more for that as
Hmm.
well.
Yeah, it's interesting. Do you do a lot of work with your own clients on identifying that niche and helping guide them to make those decisions and focusing their businesses in that way?
I do. That's what I find the most interesting. I don't have a lot of interest in just being a bookkeeper, but I provided some fractional CFO type help to businesses and startups. And if their books aren't in order, then you really can't help them. You're kind of wasting their time and money trying to help them. So the foundation is getting the books in order, making sure that the data that's in there is accurate first and foremost, and then you're basing all of your decisions on accurate data. So
Yeah, so that becomes the foundation.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. That,
yeah.
that you can make all your decisions on. And then once all the data's in there and you start organizing it in certain ways, like I said, if you're so for example, I have what I call essentials bookkeeping, which is like the bare minimum.
Mhm.
It's reconciliation and categorization and giving them the reports, and then that's it. It's not strategy, it's not, accounts payable, accounts receivable, it's not any of that stuff. And then we have traditional bookkeeping, which is less scalable, but uh, it does provide those other services and have higher margins. So it's you figure out you know, where the best place to go. And I actually have staff that focus on the traditional support the staff that work on the essentials because they can mentor and kind of
Mm.
like grow, uh, and they can build up their knowledge within the organization that way.
That's kind of the cross training you were talking about earlier.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. Well, talk about what as we start to wrap up here, what would a typical engagement with bookkeeping look like?
Well, there's a lot of turnover with bookkeeping because it's very difficult to scale. And a lot of times you have individual bookkeepers that, they might have three clients and they think they can take on another one, and maybe they can, but they take on one that is larger than they can handle. Uh, then they provide diminishing returns, and the clients get upset. They leave, especially during times like now with the tax deadlines and everything like that. All of the like during 1099s and all that. So it's um, it's an engagement that can go two different ways. They're either going to take the time and provide a good service and meet your expectations, or they're not. And the most important thing is making sure that the expectations are clear on both ends. What's expected from the client, what's expected from the bookkeeper, and then holding them accountable. A lot of business owners get really busy. They stop looking at their books, and then they don't realize their books are like 6 months behind. And that's really common with bookkeeping firms out there.
Yeah. And so how does Good Booking separate itself from some of the others?
Well, the essentials makes it you can get into a rhythm. So in 2012, I started a payroll company, and I was kind of obsessed with reverse engineering payroll from being this highly automated, uh, you know, um, I don't know, it was like a commodity that uh, all of the human elements came out of it. And so I was trying to put human elements into it because I was an expert and I loved customer service. Well, I'm trying to do the opposite a little bit with bookkeeping.
Hmm.
And by making it more predictable, like payroll, and making it very uniform, you're able to develop a rhythm and you know how much time it's going to take. And those are the ones in essentials. So essentials are the ones that are kept up to date. Traditional is tough because you're relying on the clients for a lot of things. And if they don't have time to provide that to you, then you're going to get behind. So we kind of share some of those elements. We have some hybrid ones that where we can do a majority of the work monthly and keep it on time, and then we have to do some catch up at the end of the year. But it's very common in the industry to have to play catch up,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, share with, as we wrap up, share with our audience how they can get a hold of you.
Sure. So my email's Brian at goodbookin.com, BRIAN, Goodbookin, no G. And I don't really do a lot of social media, to be honest, but I am on LinkedIn. So you can reach me there. I believe it's Brian Bohley CPP um, is the extension. And those are the main methods I would probably use.
Awesome. Well, man, thank you for hanging out with me this afternoon. I appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me, Mark. It's been a pleasure.
All right, y'all. We've done it again. We found another great leader to share some wisdom and experiences with you as you continue on that path to the CEO. As always, our Igniting the CEO Within podcast is sponsored by Quaid, a nationwide community of CEOs and entrepreneurs. Quaid has created Launchpad, which provides an opportunity for experienced executive coaches and fractional execs to become licensed circle director and significantly impact the lives of CEOs and entrepreneurs. To find out more, visit quaidcircle.com. Until next time, keep igniting that CEO within you. I'm Mark McFatridge. Thanks for listening.